Thank you. And again, it's so good to see you. Thanks for being here. So the big question of the day is, in finding your why, what is it that motivates you? What drives you to make the decisions that you make? Is it the car you drive, the career you selected, or the mate you've chosen? Everything we do for a reason. Now, some of us have a driving purpose that gets us out of the morning every single day, but some of us wonder, what's next in life? But as in any area of life, unless we find a passionate why, that deep down core motivation that drives you and then act on that why, we could spend years just going through the motions. But once we discover that why, it's as though a fire has been lit and we suddenly become laser focused. Now, I would venture that each of us here in Toastmasters want to live out the fullest of our potential, that whatever it is that you've been called to do. The problem is most people have no idea of their potential, and perhaps therefore they've never really dug down and found their true why. Well, as we know, this topic couldn't be any more relevant than it is for Toastmasters. I mean, really, we all joined for a reason. Getting to our why and then helping others get to their why will do actually three things: increase member retention, attract new members, and then also renew a passion for lifelong growth for each of us within Toastmasters. Now, having a master's degree in counseling, I know that when people come to see me with an issue, it's generally not the real issue. A lot of times there's a lot of symptoms going on underneath. That's the real motivation. Well, the same is true in Toastmasters. When that new person comes in and tells us and shares with us, here's why I joined Toastmasters, it's generally not the real reason. Oftentimes there are deep-seated motivations there as well. Why else would a perfectly level-headed person walk into a room full of strangers and say, hey, I'm here to speak? Something's going on. So why did we join Toastmasters? Okay, true story. At a church that I was pastoring, I had a sweet lady greeting at the door, and I had only heard later of this encounter. Strangers walk up, new guests walk up, and she warns them, be prepared. When you go in there, it'll be as though you're watching a tennis tournament. Because when I spoke way back when, I was always back and forth, only because of that nervous energy. Who can relate? Suddenly, out of nowhere, the voice of the great late motivational speaker, Zig Ziglar, came racing to mind, talking about some organization called Toastmasters. Where do you think I was at 7 o'clock on a Thursday, the very next week? Absolutely. My first Toastmaster meeting. So initially, I thought that I joined so that I could be a better speaker for my congregation and they wouldn't hurt their neck as they watched me preach. But it wasn't until years later where I discovered the real why of joining. Now let's talk about you. Let's talk about finding your why. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. You're thinking, I don't need to do this. I've been a Toastmaster for years. I know my why. But finding your true why in life is the difference between waking up with that sense of purpose or just getting through the day. In Toastmasters, it's the difference between completing your Pathways path or getting stuck in level 1 or not even logging on. Did you know that over 55% of new members in Toastmasters have not logged on to Pathways for the first time? Finding your why is the difference between taking a nap or attending a 4-hour TLI. Finding your why is the difference between just staying a member or moving into taking an officer position, sergeant of arms, club president, and beyond. Guys, once we find our deep down why, the journey in Toastmasters is limitless. If I asked you about finding your why, well, how do we do that? How do you go about doing that? I'm talking about the really deep down core reason that rests at the bottom of our heart of why we really joined Toastmasters. How do we do it? Well, it's brilliantly simple and anyone can do it. So if I asked some of you in one sentence or less, why did you join Toastmasters? What would you say? So anybody, feel free to jump in. In one sentence or less, why did you join Toastmasters?
I joined for connection.
Making more connections?
Self-confidence.
Self-confidence. Ooh, that's a good one. Those are all good.
Wanted to be a better listener.
To become a better listener. Oh my gosh, that's huge. Okay, why else?
I want to be a poet.
Oh, I would love to hear the story behind that, because that's got to be a great story. Who else?
Secure my filler word habit.
Oh. So if we have heard.
Improve interpersonal skills.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And as each of us have been in Toastmasters for any number of years, or even just a few months, we've all heard hundreds of great reasons why. I mean, that was 10 seconds, and we heard a lot of amazing reasons. So with that worksheet that you have, now, if you don't have a worksheet in front of you, imagine two sides of the worksheet. One side says you, because we're going to focus on you. The other side says them, like another person. So, but let's focus on you first. And in your mind, mentally, or if you have a sheet of paper, under you, just draw, a bunch of lines. Because above each line, it will be, why was that important to you? So let's jump in. At the top of a piece of paper, or at the top of that worksheet entitled You, think of why you joined Toastmasters and write that down in one sentence or less. Go ahead. Okay, for me, my initial reason for joining Toastmasters was, if I'm honest, it was pretty embarrassing to have the sweet little greeting lady warn the new visitors that they were probably going to hurt their neck from watching me just preach back and forth, back and forth. That was embarrassing. So my initial reason was simply to become a better speaker for my congregation. That was my surface level why. But now look at the why that you just wrote down and think about, why was that important to me? Why was that reason that I just wrote down, why was that important to me? And then write that down. Now, for me, why was becoming a better speaker for my congregation important to me? Well, plain and simply, I didn't want to look silly. So then I had to think, and as you think about that reason that you just wrote down, I had to think, well, why was not looking silly important to me? So whatever reason you just wrote down, think again, well, why was that important to me? And write that down. And this could take some digging, but that's why we're here. So for me, why was not looking silly important to me? I wanted people to take me seriously. I was a young pastor. I had the Timothy syndrome where Paul was saying, all right, Timothy, hey, don't be jacked up because you're young. You know, if God's going to use you. Now, again, I don't know what you believe, but I had that young syndrome. So I wanted people, so that I didn't look silly, I wanted people to take me seriously. So now I'm looking at the reason you just wrote down. Once again, look at that, what you just wrote down, and think, why was that important to me? Why was that important to me? And write that down. Okay, I'm only going to go 2 steps further because that's where it stopped for me. For some of you, when this whole training is over, you may go down 15 levels and to where you get kind of, well, we'll talk about that. So why was wanting people to take me seriously important to me? Well, having always been the class clown, not that you can imagine that, but having always been the class clown, I wanted people to see me as more, that I actually had value. So look at the reason you just wrote down and think, why was that important to me? And write that down. Now for me, I'm just going to go one more level. So write that down. Why was that important to you? Okay, for me, why was it important that having been the class clown and wanting people to see me as more, that I had value in life, why was that important to me? I got to tell you, this is where I got a lump in my throat. That's when the lip started to quiver and a tear started to form, because once you get to that level with what we're going to do later and mentees that you're going to mentor later on down the road, once you get to that lip quiver level and there's a moment of silence, there's the pause, you know you've gotten to their why. And once we do that, they'll be unstoppable in whatever it is that they want to do. So for me, why was that important to me? It's because I had spent years trying to prove to my dad that I had value and that I had worth and that I was worthy of his love. And guys, I was still trying to prove my worth to him 15 years after cancer took him. It was basically like I was chasing a ghost. To prove my worth to my dad, that I was worthy of his love. Well, I didn't realize it at the time, but I took that unseen agenda and I set off to accomplish that. And I did become a better speaker. As a matter of fact, I began seeing lives change. I was traveling all over the country. I was actually making a difference. To see the light come on in somebody else's own eyes and realize that they were brilliant with their own gifts and talents. Are you serious? Talk about a new why, a new sense of purpose for Toastmasters, a new reason for speaking. Moving from seeking everybody else's approval to charging forward and helping other people walk in purpose, find their passion, find their identity, find their worth in whoever it is that they've been created to be. Oh my gosh. But on that surface level, if becoming just a better speaker was the end all be all, I probably would have just faded in my Toastmasters journey. And many people do, as we've seen. So your why can and probably will evolve. And that's just the beginning of any of us realizing our truest potential. You talk about that being point number one of member retention. Wow. So now that you've discovered yours, it's time to take the next step. Helping others find their why. Now, I know what some of you may be thinking here. I don't want to get into other people's like business and stuff. I don't want to get all up in their junk. I mean, what if I mess this thing up? You will not mess it up when your heart is in it, and we're about to go step by step on how to do it. So you're going to be great. So helping others get to their why will help attract, point number two, attracting new members. Because as the new person gets excited, we know that their excitement is completely contagious. We know the questions. What if you've been to a great movie, read an amazing book, dined at a fabulous restaurant? What's the next thing that we want to do for people? Absolutely, we want to share it with them and hope that they feel the same exhilaration that we did when they go through that same experience. And the same is true in Toastmasters. If we help them get to their why, help them catch the vision for how Toastmasters can help them fulfill that why, how would any of us or any of them not want to share that with as many people as possible? We can literally, whether we've been to Toastmasters for 1 month or 20 years, we could literally help each other go to a whole new level. And you talk about a fire igniting along each step of the way. I know we're trying to merge with Rotary Club to build up our membership and things like that, but guys, we would see a revival in Toastmasters that we've probably never even seen before once we help people get to their why. Okay, so I'm going to help walk you through this. So helping others find their why. Now for this, I'm going to show you the example. You'll get a chance to do it in a few minutes when we separate you randomly into breakout rooms, but that's a little bit later on. But first, I need a volunteer. Somebody, now listen to this caveat, this disclaimer. Somebody who's not bashful or shy or afraid to maybe go a little deep, who's, an open book, and you don't mind being an open book. So I need a volunteer. Again, it won't be painful, I promise. We'll go only as far as you feel comfortable, but I need a volunteer. Is there anybody willing just to kind of walk through a few of these steps?
I will do it.
Okay, who's that?
Me, Brendan Grace.
Grace, Brenton. Hey, Brendan, how are you, sir?
Well, sir.
Hello. Okay. All right. So now, guys, as I go through this, I want you to notice that, Brendan, if it's okay, I'm going to have a little bit of commentary at a separate time, just so that, you can kind of say, oh, okay, this is the step that he's at. Okay. Mm-hmm. So there's going to be really 3 steps that you'll notice during taking somebody else through finding their why that will totally apply to ourselves. Okay. And those steps they're really going to be the why questions. The second part will be, if you were to achieve this, what would that do for you? How would life be different? And then the third part will be, man, what if we did this together? Okay. So, Mr. Brendan, so if I'm the mentor, you are the mentee. Now, everybody, a good way to start off, because everybody has mentors, mentees in their clubs, I'm sure. So with a new member, a good opener to let them know that this is a safe place to share. You and I will have to offer a little bit of healthy, appropriate self-disclosure. For instance, hey, Brendan, when I first started as a speaker, I wanted to become just simply a better speaker for my congregation because I was a pastor. But I realized later on that there were some deep-seated motivations of really what drove me to become and want to become a better speaker. And this is a safe place. So Brendan, let me ask you, in one sentence or less, why did you join Toastmasters?
It's a good
What
thing.
would you say?
It's a good thing I wrote this down. I wanted to develop skills and be part of a group like many other men in my family.
Okay. So to gain skills and kind of be like the other guys.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. Why was that important to you?
Because I knew I could ultimately be a better version of myself.
Okay. That's good. Now, this seems like an obvious question because this is what we've been talking about. Why was becoming a better version of you really important to you?
Because I felt stuck at the moment, like I was spinning my wheels, not really going anywhere, and I wanted to move forward, not be riding on the same plane.
Okay. Because you were stuck. Why did you want to, what was important about moving forward? Now, again, some of these answers may seem obvious, but they're only obvious at first. So why was moving forward really important to you?
Because I knew I could be a better son, brother, partner, employee, and many other aspects of my life. I knew that there was more to me than where I was at the moment. And I just hadn't unlocked the key.
You hadn't turned the key to becoming really who you've been called to be. Okay, why was that important? I mean, because some people just stay where they're at. They're like, okay, well, I'm not going to get there. I'm just going to be a wanderer. So yeah, that's just where I'm at. Why was that so important to you?
Because through knowing what that next and better portion was, I could bring value everywhere, hopefully, that I was able to touch as best I could.
Yeah. Can I ask you a crazy question?
Sure.
Because in your first statement of why you joined Toastmasters, it was to almost kind of be on the same plane as the other men in your family.
Mm-hmm.
Was there any time where you're like, I'm just not measuring up?
Absolutely.
So that's kind of where you were at. You're like, I can't be left behind. I want to add value because all these men, these mentors, my brothers, kind of like in 300. Anybody see that Gladiator movie 300 where they're like shoulder to thigh with that shield? So you wanted to just kind of join the ranks and say, oh yeah, I'm here.
Correct. I mean, my grandfather, who passed in 2006, was amazing, did unbelievably amazing things. He helped build the Enola Gay, which dropped the atomic bomb in World War II. He helped build Space Lab, which helped do amazing things in space and worked for McDonnell Douglas.
So that dude, so he was an achiever. He was like, man, job assigned, job done. I'm going to reach forward for that. Okay, so let me ask you a question. So you had these high bars to shoot for.
Mm-hmm.
If showing that you could add value to other people, attaining these better skills, what would that do for you as a man in one sentence or less? What was that going to do for you and in you if you were to achieve this? Which is the second part, guys, of that worksheet. What would that do for you?
Well, I have an answer for my old self, and I think more my new self. The old self, I thought it would build my confidence, and it would allow me to talk to people in a different way, just because I was feeling stuck. But today, I would say that I think it would just make me feel whole.
Oh my gosh. That's because isn't that what we all really want? Because until we feel like, okay, I'm who God has created. Again, I don't know what you believe, but I am who I am supposed to be, and I feel whole.
Mhm.
Because don't so many of us, depending on whatever it is that we've been through in life, sometimes feel unworthy, half of what. So feeling whole, absolutely. So if you were to do that, so if you were to accomplish the skills, kind of get on that same level with the man, you would feel almost kind of complete.
Correct.
Okay, here's some commentator guys on that step number 2, which is what would that do for you? Whatever your mentee says, write that down, because man, that's their buy-in. That's their drive, and that is the seed planted of accountability as they pursue that why. So here's the third step of this process, which is probably one of the coolest parts is, okay, Brendan, so now that we've gotten there and I know what this will do for you, how life would look differently, what if on this journey of reaching that, what if we were to do this together? What if we were to lock arms and walk this journey together? What would that be like?
I would hope that both of us would be unstoppable forces.
Boom. Oh my gosh. Yes. Because guys, if you ask that question, thank you, Brendan, so much. Everybody give Brendan a big virtual clap. Thank you so much, sir. So as mentors, if we ask that question, hey, what if we lock arms? What if we go on this journey together? You got to be ready to commit, because what we can't do is be like, oh, hey, you found your why. Hey, good luck with that. See you later. That'd be weird. But to truly get to somebody's why, would it truly help create a passion, a drive, and a loyalty that they'll never want to leave. Now, of course, we're not talking about the not being able to leave like the Prophets, the Eagles band, Hotel California. You know that song. You can check out anytime you like, but you can never leave. That's not what we're talking about here. But now, is everybody that you sit down with for that first time, is everybody gonna reveal that deep down why the first time they sit down with you? Probably not. Which is okay, because we know that in Toastmaster journey is not a sprint, but it's a marathon, of course. But will some share with you right off the bat? People like me or people like Brandon, they're like, okay, man, I'm here and I just want to do this thing. Absolutely. Some will and some won't the first time. And that's okay, because in time, you'll gain their trust. And it's all about timing. So now it's your turn. We're going to give you 5 minutes. And you guys are going to be randomly paired. And you're going to go into breakout rooms. And you're going to go through those 3 steps with whomever it is you're going to take turns. So one of you is going to ask that other person, okay, why did you join? Why was that important? Why was that important? Get down to that second part of, okay, if you were to accomplish that, what would that do for you? And then the third part is, hey, what if we did this together? I mean, there's so much power in doing that together and having them think like, oh my gosh, I don't have to do this thing by myself. Are you serious? Oh my gosh, I am in. So now, just if you've already found your bottom line why, don't just go into the breakout room and say, okay, my bottom line is it. No. Go through those steps, practice going through those steps, and let's just see you when you get back. Okay, we're going to give you 5 minutes total. So if you're answering in 1 sentence or less, you should be able to, both of you should be able to get through. We'll see you in a minute. 5 minutes. I believe people are being separated into breakout rooms. And they're disappearing. Okay, Bill, are folks going? Are they going?
Not yet.
They
Uh-oh.
should be. I'm working on it.
Yes, sir.
I'm trying to get rid of them as fast as I can.
Morning,
You're
guys.
all good. You're amazing, sir. You're all good.
Lord stuff. Click on the picture. Maybe, yeah.
That's so funny. Somebody just said, beam me up, Scotty. That was awesome.
We got a lot of people, and thank you so much for your patience. This is
Yeah.
not hard to do. However, it does take a few moments to get everybody going.
Mhm.
Yeah, you have over 60, 70 participants, so it's going to take a minute.
Oh, my.
You are correct.
Wow, so many names on here. I've not seen y'all in a long time. So good to see y'all. Okay, what you should expect to see, somebody just posted, is an option on your screen in just a little bit. Thank you, Gethsemane. It'll say join breakout room. And so in just a minute, you should see an option that says join breakout room, question mark, and then boom. Yes, once time is up, and we'll compensate for those that are joining later into those breakout rooms, we will bring you back, absolutely, or you'll see that other option.
And I think the final room, I'm going to put 3 people in.
Okay.
And I believe that should be everybody, I think.
Hi, I still didn't get a breakout room. Is this the one?
Yeah, I don't have one either.
I don't either.
I don't either. Yeah, I don't think anybody
Me
does.
either.
It would have popped up by now. Should have.
I know I've assigned everybody a room.
I'm not either.
Oh, I think there's maybe a button you have to push that actually like
Yes.
initiates it.
Yeah, that's correct. You should have gotten a prompt to go to a breakout room.
But I didn't get that prompt either.
Yeah. I've gotten a prompt.
Still here.
I'm not sure.
Don't just leave it alone. He's got that many people and stuff.
Yeah, we're still at 66.
No, it says if you attended the VPN breakout, send me your name in the chat.
Oh.
Sandra Brad.
Yeah, I didn't get that either.
Me neither.
Okay. Oh, thank you. That is such a nice compliment. Thank you, guys. Well, we're not done yet.
Everybody start doing do Jeopardy. Jeopardy.
Do, 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 do.
Hey, Bill, do you know if there is a limit on the amount of breakout rooms? Do you know?
No, I set up 33 rooms and I assigned everyone a room.
Yeah. Okay.
And I don't know how to reassign, unfortunately.
Sure.
Is there a link for the breakout rooms that you can post where we could try and join that way?
Well, it looks like we're all here, so maybe we can just have it as a collective conversation.
I think that may be better. Yeah, since the time is
Yeah.
already running out and we can't keep
Mhm.
waiting.
Sure. Yeah.
Or maybe have 2 volunteers to demonstrate what they would have done in the room.
Yeah, I was just thinking that. That's a good idea. Okay, yeah, that's a lot of. All right. So who would like to run somebody through this exercise real quick? Okay, Mr. Ian, and then we need a second.
Here I am.
All right, and then I don't want to kill this. Shankar, am I pronouncing that correctly?
Yes.
Shankar. Okay, so I'll tell you what, Ian, why don't you go first? Take Shankar through these steps. Now remember to keep the answers to 1 sentence or less. Otherwise, heck, we could be here for 2 hours. And of course, me being the counselor, I'd love to just hear your story for a couple hours. That's just kind of my thing. But for the sake of time, let's just keep it at 1 sentence or less. Ian, you take him through those steps.
Say again, I'm sorry, I didn't catch your last sentence there. Let me turn the volume up.
Just go ahead and take Mr. Shankar through those steps and keep the answers
Okay.
to 1 sentence or less.
Okay. So why did you join Toastmasters?
I initially joined Toastmasters when I was in college in 2012 to support my girlfriend in learning how to give better presentations.
Okay. Why was it important to you to support your girlfriend?
Because I wanted her to be successful in the classroom.
And why was that important to you?
Because I wanted for both of us to have a successful future in a new segment of our lives.
And what did the idea of having a successful future mean to you? Why was that important?
Well, as an immigrant who gave up a previous career and came to the United States, it was just important that I had a future in the United States that would guarantee income and stability and security.
And why was it important to you to have a future in the United States?
Well, who doesn't want that? Who doesn't want to be successful in their plans that they make and take? I guess that's not an answer, that's a question.
Okay.
I think it's just a fundamental wish of everyone to be successful and feel safe and secure.
Okay. If you were to achieve that, then what would that do for you?
I would feel accomplished, and I would be able to use my success and my stability to help others achieve the same.
Okay. And so what would your life look like then, given success?
It would look very much like I am on track right now because of Toastmasters, and I feel like the better we get at achieving these skills, being successful and having an impact, the greater we can have, the greater our reach can be.
Okay, where do you see yourself, say, 20 years from now as a result of this?
I am in the process of building up a company, and we are a team of 6 now, and in 20 years, I see it possibly with a team of 100 people, providing stable incomes for all of these people in the company, and in turn also helping their families to strive and be happy.
Okay. Well, what if we cooperate in achieving this?
That would be great, because when we have people that support each other and when we have accountability partners, then we can be sure, and the likelihood can be higher that we actually achieve our goals.
Okay, back to you, Beto.
Thank you, sir. Wow. Again, another virtual high five. And given more time, we would switch roles and he would simply ask you those questions. But for the sake of time, we'll go ahead and stop there. I think that gives everybody a really good idea that helping somebody dig a little deeper on their real reason for joining Toastmasters doesn't have to be scary. It doesn't have to be intimidating. And any of us can do this. After all, the purpose and the mission of Toastmasters is to provide a cooperative, a mutually supportive and positive learning environment, right? Which each of us, you and I, as members, have the opportunity to develop, to gain those skills that we talked about earlier from Mr. Brendan, to develop communication and leadership skills, which in turn foster exactly what he was talking about as well, the self-confidence and personal growth. Who wouldn't want to be a part of that for the rest of our lives? So the purpose of finding our why is so that we may live out, really getting to the fullest potential that we've been called to do. I mean, literally, it will inevitably, for point number 3, renew in each of us a passion for lifelong growth. Why would we ever want to stop? But get this, I was out of Toastmasters for over 10 years because I originally joined in 2004. But then I went off and spoke professionally and traveling all over the country, seeing lives changed. But I realized I had not arrived. Sure, lives again, they were changing. But there was so much more. And Toastmasters offers that so much more. Here's about a 3-minute video, 3.5-minute video that kind of sums up a little bit of what we're talking about. Check this out.
This is called How Do I Know? And a lot of times when people hear the phrase, how do I know? The next thing they say is what? How do I know what? But the key really isn't to know what. The key is to know why. Because when you know your why, you have options on what your what can be. For instance, my why is to inspire people to walk in purpose. My what is stand-up comedy. My what is writing books. My what can be going out with some friends to eat. In fact, another what that has moved me towards my why is a web series that we have out now called Break Time. So every Wednesday at 3 o'clock, you should subscribe to the channel. We do a series called Break Time on YouTube. So 3 o'clock, we drop a new episode. One episode in particular, I'm about to show you a clip to. We were in Winston-Salem. So Break Time, this is how it works. I travel the country, I do stand-up comedy, probably an hour, hour and a half at an event. And in the middle of my show, I'll just sit down and start talking to the audience. And funny just happens. Or I'll meet somebody who's really interesting. So I met this one guy, and he said that he teaches music at a school. I was like, all right, you teach music, can you sing? And then I'm just gonna show you the clip. Check it. So you're a musical director. Cool.
Yes, sir.
All right, so let me get a couple bars of like Amazing Grace. Can you do the first part of that? Go ahead.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me.
Wow.
That bro could sing. You know what I'm saying? All right, all right. Now, once you give me the version, is if your uncle just got out of jail, you got shot in the back when you was a kid. I'm just saying, let me see the hood version real quick, if you know which version I'm talking about. Just see if that exists. Let me see what you got. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. Right now I'm found, was blind, but now I see. So here's the thing. The first time I asked him to sing, he knew what he was doing. The second time I asked him to sing, he knew why he was doing it. When you know your why, your what has more impact because you're walking in or towards your purpose.
When we get to our why, when each of us get to our why and then help other people get to theirs, it's those three things. It's going to increase member retention. It's going to attract new members and renew in each of us a passion for lifelong growth within Toastmasters. What would it look like if you and I, whether it's been 1 month or 20 years in Toastmasters, literally partnered with each other to truly realize our fullest potential in the process? How cool would that be? Because after all, I ask again, what motivates you? What drives you? Really, everything we do, we will do for a reason. We just have to know why. Mr. Zoom Master.
Thank you. Do we want to open it up to questions, Mr. Presenter?
It is 1:17 and I always want to respect people's time. So for those of you that would like to stay on, hey, feel free. We're going to be here. If you got to log off, totally understand. Thank you so much for joining the session. I hope it added value to really who you've been called to be. And I can't wait to see you in person someday when all this is over.